Probably turn the mic on. There we go. All right. Let's bring this down a little bit. There we go. Hey, everybody. Let's see. I need a mouse pointer. Here we go. I saw Andy earlier and Audrey. Amphonics, hey. Kleptophonics. We got a lot of onyxes because we've got an onyx too. My case. Mr. McCready, Tracy, Garen. Nice. James. Thanks for coming. All right. So how's everybody doing today? It is very cold, but very sunny here. So better than the 3 days of rain we had earlier this week. That A sharp is bugging Luke. No, it was a timing thing, actually. I had the bass was not quite on as, it doesn't have to be on the grid, but it wasn't as on the grid. It wasn't close enough to the grid to make me happy. I had a little too much like syncopation there. So change my handle to Syncotronics. Yeah, sure, you should. we need a few more, right? Right. Synth Seeker. Raider Ricks, sure, why not? So Nordic Noir music, hey, Quattro Pagina, Midiphonic, good people popping in. Welcome. Let's see. So what are we doing today? I am just fooling around. We're in B-flat Dorian today, and we've got the Ring Mod drone running in the background off the modular. Same as last week because I had so much fun with it. I just wanted to keep it going. Let's see. Is he here? He's not here yet. We'll see if he shows up. Let's see. There was an old comedy routine. These guys, Bob and Doug McKenzie, they're from Canada, and they said conversion between Fahrenheit and Celsius was just double it and add 30. So I think that only holds for part of the scale. So, all right. So what's going on? What do we have in here today? So the modular's doing this thing that you're hearing in the background. Right. And let's bring it down a little bit and we'll play a few things over it. So I was messing around with the Waldorf Blofeld, which is a very affordable multi-timbral synth, digital. And it sounds very digital, and it sounds pretty old. Like the effects in it aren't great, but if you process it, it sounds great. And I found somebody else's patch library for it that was like advertised as alien sounds. And so I loaded them, and I'm playing with one here, and it is totally alien sounds. Did you get a load of this? And they're very pitch bendable. I was doing that earlier. Right? That's totally like getting lifted up into the ship. Right? So that's there for flavor on top of the drone, or under the drone, around the drone. Anyway. Let's see. I've got a bunch of pads in here today because we had a discussion about pads versus drones. So I prepped a few pads. That's the Korg Modwave. And then we've got that's Novation Summit. Just got layers and layers of pads today. And that's a Waldorf Iridium. It's now the big brother, or the big little brother to the Blofeld. I was talking with someone the other day about the Iridium. And I like the Iridium, but it has a problem, a couple problems. One is it's too damn deep. Like there are synths, more and more synths today, especially ones in software, are approaching this sort of like event horizon where they just do everything. It's like it doesn't matter what the feature is. It's like it's just software. All right, we can put that in there, right? Says the developer. And the Iridium almost suffers from it because when you sit down in front of it, it's like, which synth engine do you want to use? That kind of thing. It's like sitting down with, what's another one people really like? Falcon, UVI Falcon is another one. It's like a toolkit, a bunch of Legos for building your synth, which is super powerful. But it does sort of introduce that sort of blank page problem. And the second thing that I call a problem with the Iridium is that the preset library that comes with it, I'm not going to say it doesn't sound good. There are some amazing sounds in there, but a lot of them are jarring. Like the level, literally the level in volume between them. It's like I'll play this pad, right? It's like I need to have a limiter on the synth all the time, because if you're going through the presets, you'll hit something that's like full unison monophonic that uses all the voices and the compressor and the gain, like, you know, the gain unit, and I'm deafened instantly. And it's like you'd think that would go through quality control when they ship it. Like, let's make sure that everything's kind of normalized out, at least in our own preset library. So, I don't know. Let's see. Bring this back up. Tracy says, I must opine that pads have a different role with respect to harmony. That was something I was going to try and demonstrate. I was waiting for, I don't want to single someone out and embarrass them. I was waiting for someone to show up because I wanted to demonstrate something about pads. Anyway, I'll get around to that. So finishing out this out, I've got a wavetable software-based synth, just as my arpeggiated Berlin pluck. And then this was what I was going to use for pads versus drones. So this is a third wave that's got this sort of bell pad. And I was going to try and demonstrate. Tell me whether you agree or disagree with this. All right. So I said in the little video the other day, I said the difference between pads and drones in my mind are that pads are shapes, the shape of the sound. You play it, it comes up. It might come up slowly or it might come up fast, like bells come up fast. And then it sustains for as long as you hold it. And then it releases at some rate when you let go. All right. And pads, that's their shape, right? And so drones can have the shape of a pad, or it could have another shape, like you could have a pulsing drone. That's a series of plucks. And I tried to express it as being a drone is a job, right? You are droning, right? When you are a pad, you are not padding. Like you are not, pads are the shape of the thing. And so if we took this sound, which I call a pad by shape, and we just play a single low note with it and hold it, the job it's doing here is droning, right? It's its job. The fact that it's shifting, like its timbre shifting, is just flavor, right? It's holding one note with the intention of a drone that over it or around it, other notes will play to form different harmonies with it. So I could play up here. Right? But this note is droning. So that's a drone, right? Like the I forget what they're called, the parts of the bagpipe that only play one note, and as long as the air's flowing through the bagpipe, they're playing that note. What are those called? Chanters? Something like that, right? That's a drone. It's a job, and anything could be a drone. Any shape of a sound can be a drone if it just plays the same note or sustains the same note over and over and over again. That's droning. So I don't know if the person who we were discussing this, maybe they'll see this recording. But so I think drone is a job, pad is a shape. That's where I'm at. So, and it's not like it's an earth-shattering thing, right? Where we're like, we must solve this problem, right? Lives depend on the difference between drones and pads. So let's see. Steve says the Iridium is amazing and ridiculous. It is. It's really great. I had one and I sold it because it was constantly overwhelming me. I can see that. Hey, Amphonics. Hey, Garen. I can see Garen's quotes here. So there was a mystery on YouTube. Garen left a comment and then they disappeared. Garen, I think all of your comments on all of the videos I've ever made actually disappeared overnight because I went back looking for them and I couldn't find any. But I saw the new one you posted this morning as a test. That one showed up. But did you offend the YouTube gods or something? And they were like, this guy's rude. We're going to just erase him from the system without actually deleting your account. So I don't know what's going on there. So Kleptophonics says pad is shape, drone is job. Yeah, that's what we're saying. That one is sorted. Where do texture, soundscapes, and beds sit in this? Because language is language. I think texture, when I say texture, I mean timbre. Right. So like the modular is droning in that it's playing one note, B flat, all the time. And I say that it's texture. It has a very dramatic or wild texture. I use that as texture. All right. I don't know. Soundscapes, I think soundscapes is an orchestration thing, personally. Like the culmination of several instruments working together, and then also with respect to being placed on a sound stage, right? Some things you apply no reverb to, and they sound like they're really up front at the front of the stage, and they may be positioned to the left or the right. And then things with some like inline, inline reverb get pushed further back on the sound stage. And so escape is what is happening on the sound stage with those instruments over time. That's what I think soundscape is. I don't know. It could be full of shit. So, and beds, I refer to any set of Berlin School pluck patterns as a bed. And that's me. I didn't read that anywhere. There's no consensus on it that I took from some other discussion I had. I just pulled that one out of my butt. I said, this is a bed, because I was trying to teach people how to do Berlin School in the simplest way possible. And I needed some terminology. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to call it. We're going to have forms, and we're going to have beds, and we're going to have plucks, and we're going to have leads and basses, melodies, right? So I probably offended a bunch of music theory people, but I don't know. We'll see. So that's texture, soundscapes, and beds as far as I'm concerned. Kira says the chanter or the canter on a bagpipe is the part you play. Okay, the other ones are called drones. Oh, well, good. All right, learn something new every day. Today I learned. So, hey, Dan. Good to see you, Mr. Kupka. Thanks, man. How are things? So that's my friend Dan. He's another synth nerd who lives here in Massachusetts. Dan Kupka is a performer and composer in where they killed all the witches. Salem, I think. Dan, are you still in Salem? So, let's see. Yeah, Garen, you must have offended someone. I have no idea. Quasar electronic music. Cool. Welcome. Layers of abstraction are important in synth UX. Yeah, that's an interesting discussion. Push some of the details down so it's not a paradox of or overwhelming choice. Yes and no. It's funny. I don't know if he's here. Is he in the chat? There's a guy on the Discord, a friend of mine, Task Boy, and I think Garen and I have had this discussion before. There is some of the I was going to say elder statesmen, but that's too respectful. Some of the old farts, of which I include myself in that group, like synths with overwhelming panels, the Moog stuff, the third wave, when the Prophets, there's like one knob per function, everything. And there is, I think, due to desire to keep costs down, a sort of category of synth that's evolved over the last 10 years that I think it's actually on its way out, but it's this sort of bespoke boutique synth panel, right? Like one of the examples would be in Modular, the older Make Noise panels, right? Like the original panel on the Maths. It was a beautiful thing, but it confused people. Actually, that's probably a bad example. How about the who makes the Medusa and the nymphs? Who makes the nymphs? I forget who that is. The panel on the nymphs has a small set of controls that are multifunction and not labeled. So it's like you have to read the manual, fine, but it's not like behavior changes depending on what mode you're in. And then that keeps costs down because you don't have so many components, and it allows you to keep your synth small. But it also, I think, makes it hard to use. So in some ways, I'm disappointed with modern synth UX in some areas. But I'm just a guy out in the wilderness, so who cares whether I'm disappointed or not. But Quasar electronic music, I absolutely agree that having a layer of abstraction to push complexity down is good, but that implies an algorithm or a recipe or behavior assumption around how it should be used. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. That can be very good. But you have to accept that means that the designers are telling you how to use something, which all designers do to a degree. But a synth with 140 knobs and sliders and everything's one knob per function at the surface level with no menus has less of an implied usage because you can reach to anything arbitrarily, very much like Modular, right? So I don't know. That's a good point, though. Let's see, Tracy. Don't pads consistently emphasize harmonic qualities to the work? I mean, in that each pad has its specific timbre, unless you're using like a wavetable pad and you're slowly traversing the wavetable, in which case your harmonic timbre shifts, right? Or do you mean pitch wise? I don't know. You don't hear that with drones. I don't know. Okay, so it looks like, Tracy, I think you meant harmonic, like pitch harmony. Yes. I agree with you. Dan says, Red Beans Recording released a love letter to pads. Did he? Maybe he saw my video. He saw my opinion video and he was like, yeah, that's a good one. No, I doubt that. So a complete aside, I don't know if you guys watch Red Beans Recording. I tend to watch him, but my problem is most of my YouTube consumption is the listening only. I don't watch, I listen, like while I'm walking the dog or I'm, allegedly exercising or something like that. And his more recent videos are all the discourse is text on the screen and there's no voiceover. It's just music, which has its own set of benefits, right? If you're watching the video and you get these sort of left brain, right brain, one side's listening to the music while the other's reading and parsing the text. But it kills me when he puts a new video out and I'm walking the dog and I put it on and all I hear is music, and that's good. But I know there's all this discourse I'm missing, like, whatever he's talking about that day. But anyway, if in doubt, make some noise. Yep. It's Kupka. Dan, I didn't know that. I've known you for 20 years almost. I've been saying Kupka. I'm sorry. Let's see. Garen, the comment mystery was limited to my channel. Interesting. I don't know, man. I mean, you're not on the forbidden. You're not on the naughty list, so I don't know. And Dan's still in Salem, and Old fart, nice. Let's see. Dreadbox, yeah. So the Dreadbox Nymphs, which is a really cool synth. There's a local guy here. If you join the New England Synth Discord, go to the hardware channel. It's free. There is a fellow there who has built in software and with a hardware interface a tool for harnessing all of the power of the nymphs, because the nymphs is actually multi-timbral, although it doesn't really cover that in detail anywhere. Like he did a demo of, he basically had this control surface and a nymphs, and he started making noises come out of it that was like a symphony. It was like layers and layers, easily four or five layers of different timbres, different sounds coming out of it. And we're like, how did you do that? And he's like, this synth is super powerful, but it's locked behind this bespoke UI. But it's all addressable over SysX and MIDI. So he built a new panel basically and a control system, and it's open source. If you've got a nymphs and you want to play with it, leave a comment and I'll send you. I got a link to his project on GitHub, and you can go check it out. Let's see. Read in the chat. You mean pitch, Tracy? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're talking about Life is Crazy. Hey, Animotion. How's it going? Thanks for showing up. All right. And Lemon Delight. Hey. All right. So anyway, so that's what's going on. So we were playing with these. Let me make some more noise here. All right, it's 2:30. Let me bring this back in. All right, we'll keep the drone going there in B flat. And we'll put some... Let's put a little arpeggiation over it. I did say this would be a sort of Berlin schooly day. All right. Tracy says, I'm struck by you having the critique of the Iridium, but not knowing that also applies to the third wave. I don't think it applies to the third wave. Well, hold on. Let me finish your sentence here. Think about it. Sounds like an indirect endorsement of the third wave to me. So the Iridium has what, 5, 6? It has 5 synthesis engines, synthesis methods, right? And the third wave has 1, sort of, right? So, there is a convoluted, not convoluted. There are deep paths in the third wave to reach other sounds for sure, but it's vertical, right? Whereas on the Iridium, it's flat, right? And neither one is better than the other. Tracy, I think you're trying to get me to endorse the third wave over the Iridium or vice versa. I'm not going to do it. They're both very, very good synths. I like them both. I have a time investment debt for both of them that I haven't paid yet, so I withhold all judgment. So, hey, Ben. Let's see. We're just about to start making some more music here. Let's see. So long, Dan. Have fun. Synth Samurai. Hey, man. Welcome aboard. Let's see. All right, so we're just about to make some noise, so let's make a little Berlin School here, shall we? Talk over this just a little bit as we go. So if you want to space out, you can, but you'll have to ignore my voice. I just realized that it's entirely possible that I don't have the submix, the ducking working right. I don't. There we go. That arpeggiation, I didn't have the microphone ducking it. I'm like, why does it seem so loud when I'm talking? All right. All right, so let's make some Berlin School. Here's our old friend. Good. I'm just going to put the headphones down and I'm going to get up. Just kidding. I have one here. What do we got here? Yep, it's a push 3. Let's go change this lead here. missed the downbeat somewhere. When all else fails, quantize the shit out of it. Hold on. Not the cleanest ending, but it's a live stream. It's okay. Live performance. We fuck up. It happens. All right. So that was fun. I like 6/8. I like 6/8. We were talking about bagpipes earlier, right? I like reels and all that, all the traditional Irish and Scottish music that's in 6/8. Love it. Let's see. Mr. Metronome in my ear. Let's see. What do we got here? We'll leave the drone droning a bit because we like that B flat. Hey, Malthus. Welcome aboard. Let's see. Yeah, Rich has a push 3. Push 3 is a polarizing thing, right? When the push 3 came out, everyone who had a push 2 was like, yes. And everyone who was waiting for a standalone push saw that standalone part and went, yes. And then they got it and tried it and realized it's not exactly standalone. It's getting there. The new firmware that came with Ableton 12 adds a lot, but it's not like if you're used to standalone from an Electron device perspective or an MPC is standalone. The Push 3 is not standalone in the way that they are standalone, depending on what your task is, right? If you want to live sample, make beats, perform, like take audio in, grab it, mangle it, chop it on the fly, it totally can do that. But if you are a performer who in Ableton likes to use arrangement view and arrange your stuff, it doesn't want to do that right now. So it was very polarizing. So, but I like it, but I tend to use it as a controller because I'm here in the cockpit, right? I don't really play out anymore, and when I do, I just my play out rig is a Launchpad Pro Mark III, little tiny 4-channel sequencer, and a little multi-timbral synth like a Nordlead A1 or the Blofeld, something I could put in a single canvas bag and just take it with me. And then a Roland, I like a Roland TR-8S drum machine, and so I've got drums and synths and a sequencer and a grid I can play. That's my live playing rig. But I haven't played live in like 4 months. So we have a local synth meetup, the Boston Modular and Synthesizer meetup, and they meet every month at this great place called Synth Cube, great store, which if you like Mod Wiggler, the forum, Synth Cube just bought Mod Wiggler, the rights to and the administration of. that. And if you're someone who's worried about that, you heard it here from me, at least. The people who run SynthCube are not evil. They are good people. I don't know if you know the Music from Outer Space guy. Oh, what was his name? He passed away, right? And they took all of his, they took over the management of his business of selling. He was selling books and kits and DIY modules and stuff like that. And they took all of that, and it's there in their showroom very respectfully, prominently. It's not like it's stuffed in a corner or something like that. And I don't know if his widow gets any of those proceeds or not, or if they just bought them and paid her. But they have handled acquisition of other things before, and they're just folks. They're not like a big corporate thing. They're very nice. So they now control Modwiggler, and they're trying to not change anything. There's a nice write-up that they did as far as frequently asked questions and things like that. So if you're concerned, who the hell is this SynthCube people? They're a local Boston DIY synth shop. They're nice guys. And if you come to the meetup, you can meet them, because every month it's at their shop/warehouse thing. So anyway, let's see what did I miss here comment-wise. Everyone loved the Zoom effects pedals. I haven't tried one ever. I've never even seen one. Now, I think one of the local guys has one, right? And I should pay attention to it. But they come up all the time because they're like a whole bunch of multi-effects in a box, if I understand what's going on. I mean, I haven't even read the glossy sheet on them because I'm not using too many pedals right now, and I've got a collection in the closet here, and pedals interfere with buying pedals interferes with buying synths. Right? And I'm focused, right? So, all right, let's see. NPC, oh yeah, and the push 2 people were like, should I buy a 3? Should I buy a 3? I've got a 2, right? And I had multiple push 2s. So at the peak of my Ableton insanity, I had 3 push 2s. One was for traveling. One was permanently installed in the cockpit because it was just a hassle to tear it out and put it back and tear it out and put it back. So I had a traveling one with a nice case, and I had the one in the cockpit. And then I had a third that I bought used from another synth friend. And that one was the loaner one that I used to lend to people to make them. I was a drug pusher, right? Synth and gear, right? So it's like, I've got an extra push. You can just borrow it. Yeah. And so that one's actually on sort of permanent loan right now. But I sold the 2 push 2s when I bought the 3. And then I paid for the standalone, and I was a little disappointed by it. But as a controller, the push 3 is also very good. And MPE is sweet. I was not an MPE fan. I was like, what do you want? Poly Aftertouch is fine. Just, MPE is annoying and inefficient and uses an entire MIDI port. I hate it. Until I started playing with it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the Push 3 does Poly Aftertouch. And so since there's a lot of synths that do MPE, and if you can do MPE, you can flip over to Poly Aftertouch pretty easily. But the people who are at least designing some of the internal synths in Ableton, especially Ableton 12, that are MPE friendly, they're dialed in real well. And so I don't regret getting the Push 3, although I kind of wish I had just bought the controller version for half the cost of the standalone. But whatever. I'm hoping there's some speculation, wishful thinking maybe, that they're going to replace the Intel NUC mini computer in there with with one that's not Intel based, right? It should be a doable thing. We hope. We're wishing, right? I'm not one of those guys who goes, anything I don't understand from a technical perspective, it's probably easy to do and they should just do it, right? That always annoys me when I see people speculating on software development, and they're like, come on, I know a little bit about software development. It's obviously easy. You just do this and this and this. And it's like, yeah, maybe, but maybe not. So anyway, sorry, a little aside there. Garen says, okay, listening to Rich's stuff in the car. Who doesn't listen to Ray to Rich's stuff in the car, right? Let's see, what else we got here? Push 2, yeah. So if you just want to experiment with a push, get a used Push 2 or get a Launchpad Pro Mark III, basically, if you're using Ableton. And if you're DAWless, get a Launchpad Pro Mark III because it's a great grid controller and a good sequencer. So Tracy was flying in the cockpit. James is out. So long, James. You're already gone, but know that you're loved. Let's see. Big white building that houses SynthCube. I don't know. I guess it is big and white. And I don't know. Audrey, aren't you in Europe? I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Tracy's bought a lot from SynthCube. Yeah, they're good and they're friendly and they'll help you build your kits. They have like workshops and stuff. So you're new to DIY. They're fun. Animotion is on Discord. Let's see. We're talking about NerdSeek. That's fine. Should be able to put an AMD processor in the Push 3. No, Garen, I'm trying to reduce heat. So I want to get something. I want to get an ARM in there is what I want. Let's see. Oh, you looked up Google SynthCube on the Google. Yeah, it's a big white building in the heart of Watertown, Massachusetts. It's a good place. The parking's not too bad either. You don't have to park on the street. All right, where are we? It's 2:55. All right, well, so okay, so we got a performance at the beginning, got a performance about halfway through. We yacked. I expounded on my dubious opinions of dubious quality. Let's see. Oh, I have an announcement. It's maybe a bad announcement for some of you. So if this announcement makes you immediately unsubscribe and never come back, I understand. The Modular is going to go away. Probably. There's a 9 out of 10, 90% probability that I am going to actually sell and get out of Modular, even though I just got back into it back in November and spent way too much money over Christmas. And the reason I got into Modular was because I wanted to do January with Modular Berlin School, and I accomplished that. And this is now my pluck machine, even though I know it has tons and tons of potential. But I collect keyboards. I collect desktop modules. I have 10 years ago collected Modular, and I did not enjoy it. So back when Tip Top was new, before the Happy Ending kit existed, I probably had about, make sure my wife's not around, I probably had about $30,000 in Modular in, I don't know, probably about 9 units, 9 3U rows across 5 enclosures. I've got pictures. I was heavily invested in Modular. I have been down that road, and I kept this enclosure because my son and I built it when he was 8, and so the enclosure will never leave. I'll always have it. And back in November, I pulled it out. I was like, maybe I'll do Modular for January, and one thing led to another, and I have spent far too much money on this. If I sell these modules, I will add to my synth collection, and that's what I'm considering doing, because I have some gaps in my synthesizer collection that you cannot see. It's behind the wall. I enjoy collecting synths. I do not enjoy collecting Modular modules. So anyway, all right, what are the responses? Karen says no, but he's talking about ARM versus AMD. So yeah, there is a 90% probability that I want to buy something from you then. Yes. So that's the other thing. I always make jokes about, I'm not a shill. I don't sell things. I'm not selling things to you. I'm selling a bunch of Modular. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that right now. I still have to, it's only a 90% chance. I'm still, like, today was super fun. I like the drone, right? So I don't know. I may just make it much, much smaller. I do have a Happy Ending kit sitting over there unused. So I may consolidate portions of this down into a small amount, and that will be kept, and it'll go in this rack that's sitting right in front of me here that you can't see. I've got a 12U rack here with 5U free in it. But I don't know. We'll see what's going on. Rich will talk. I think Ben on the Discord server has already laid claim. He called dibs on the stochastic inspiration generator, but you can negotiate with him. I think he wants it. Oh, Ben, you're here. Sorry. There you are. Yeah, you guys can fight it out virtually or otherwise, or figure it out, or just gift it to each other. Wife aggro incoming in. Yeah, I know. We don't talk about that. We don't. Rule number 1: we don't talk about synth acquisition at Synth Seeker Club. You missed the precariously bent metal stands. I loved. Oh, you'll miss these. Well, tell you what, these laptop stands that the Modular is sitting on, I will keep them and put something on them that's a keyboard synth or something. We'll figure it out. I'll lay some wood across them or something. You're calling her right now. Please, God, no. I'll do anything. It's all good. It's all right. My wife has her own sort of collection. So we discovered long ago. Here's the thing. I know the majority of you are like middle-aged people, right? People who collect synths. The bell curve is around 45, right? I discovered a long time ago a couple things. When I take my wife on a date, all the best date nights end with, it's usually dinner and a movie or dinner and something. And then it ends with something very romantic, purse shopping. Okay. So all good dates end with the purchase of an expensive handbag. And so Sarah has her own sort of collecting, right? And the other thing is we discovered this thing called stacking rings. So Sarah likes jewelry, and I can't afford diamond solitaires often. But what I can afford are these rings that are like really thin rings that are meant to stack on top of each other, and each one has a single gemstone in it of a varying color. It's like freaking jewelry Pokemon. She loves those, right? So she has her own collectible, expensive thing, right? So, right, there's a mutually assured destruction thing there where, like, if she complains about synths, I complain about jewelry and purses. So it works out. Anyway. Will you see a big Moog machine? Hang on, wait. Let me come to you, Adri. Okay, ES9 bent metal stands, blah, 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 blah. I won't comment on. Okay, so will we see a big Moog machine? Audrey, are you talking about like the Moog 1? Because I've actually already owned one of those, and I got a unit that was slightly defective in that 2 of the soundboards on the 16 soundboards were flawed. And rather than send it back, I sold it. I really, really loved it, but it wouldn't stay in frickin' tune. So no, I will not be getting another one of those. I am interested in what the Compass is going to be, though, if that's even really a Moog, but we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, dad mode. Let's see. Rack units, lunchbox. What used to be buy more synths is now buy more purses. Yes, absolutely. Are you running away, Richard? Do you have to go? If you have to go, that's fine. Karen says, I hate purse shopping. I know exactly what she wants. My wife has very clear constraints about purse shopping. It has to be the right length strap, right, to hang low enough that my wife has ample decolletage, shall we say. And it has to hang low enough to not interfere there. And it has to have feet. It has to have a fairly good volume. Ideally, the inner base is rectangular with feet at the fork points, preferably like brass or some sort of sturdy metal, not plastic. And she doesn't care for the ones that are like imprinted with the logos and things like that. So anyway, yeah, she's very clear. She's like an engineer for purchases. It's awesome. Synths and jewelry. Nice Animotion. Yeah, there you go. My wife will have hey, we're trying to figure that out. So my wife is effectively retired now, and she's 50. She'll be 55 this year. And I'm a little annoyed at that because I'm still working, and like our son moved out, right? And he's launched effectively. And unless he like has a terrible trauma and comes home, she's like retired, right? She went and got a job last fall for it was a decent job working at a retirement home as an event coordinator. She would take the old people on field trips. We're going to a cranberry bog today. Let's go, and she would arrange dances and things like that. It was perfect, except that that's a really hard job, especially when your clientele tends to die. And she struggled with it for about 6 months, and then she said, I don't think I can emotionally deal with this. So she left, and now she's retired again. And so, yeah, she's looking for a side hustle. So, yeah, blogging your YouTube channel about purse shopping might be a thing, except I'm pretty sure nobody can make any money off YouTube anymore. So, as far as I could tell from all the people who are quitting. So, I don't know. Purse Seeker. There you go. Malthus will be the event coordinator at our retirement home. Exactly. All right. It's 3:05. I'm going to call it a day. Thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it. You are all very, very funny, and I like hanging out with you. So I'll be back next Sunday. I'm going to try and put out a video of something useful that's like instructional Berlin School, like once every 2 weeks. And we'll just keep doing this stream on Sundays. So thanks very much, you guys. Let's see. Let me find my controls here. I think we're good. Have a great time. Well, back to work tomorrow. For those of you who are already retired, I'm jealous. And I will talk to you later. See ya.